Hi everyone, welcome to another Broken Meeple video for the folded space insert sequence I'm doing, and we're experimenting a little bit differently with the camera again. So the last two I did use the webcam, and I noticed it picked up the fan noise from the laptop, which probably irritated a few people, but I think most of you were pretty fine with it. I'm guessing, because I haven't aired the other two videos yet, but I'm just going from experience. So we're changing things up a little bit. We have the overhead camera, as you can see, that is still the smartphone. So hopefully outside noise from the window won't be so bad. But now the DSLR is set up on a mini tripod with a shotgun microphone. So now not only do I have two audio sources, I also have a clearer picture from the DSLR, and it will allow more light into the photo, so that's all good there. And because I'm not using the laptop at all to do this, there is no fan noise, so you won't get any of that. So, what am I looking at here? I am looking at Caverna the Cave Farmers. I love this game. This is what Agricola should have been. I know a lot of you have probably just already raged in the comments for that, but basically, take it or leave it. I respect Agricola. I think it's a solid game. I just don't like the restrictive nature of it. I don't like how you can't specialize in anything, otherwise you lose points. I don't like how getting kids is mandatory, otherwise you lose the game, and how at the end of the game everyone's rushing to grab the last pumpkin or corn just so that you don't lose points. It's got a few things that irk me, but I do respect the game for what it is. I think it's still pretty, decent enough. I will play it. I'd just much rather play Caverna. And so we have Caverna the Cave Farmers, and with this one, it's a big insert. Just going to shift my chair a little bit. And the idea is that this one has quite a substantial insert here. I mean, it's essentially two identical trays where it's designed to be able to hold the, well, it supposedly says includes trays for the Forgotten Folk expansion box. So this one is hinting to me that these will not fit in the same box. So that's a little bit of a worry, because I was kind of hoping it would fit into one box, but maybe it's a bad wording, maybe it actually does. I mean, it says, after assembly, the trays are put into two layers in the original game box. Well, that suggests that it will fit in the big box. It's a little unclear from the description on here, but as always, going into this completely blind, so let's see what we can do. Okay, so, oh yes, apparently I have a promo for the halflings and the adventurers I have not even unwrapped yet, so maybe I'll do that later on. We'll see. But apart from that, this is pretty much Forgotten Folk stuff that I have not used and some spare things, so we'll ditch this box for now. We don't quite need it yet. So we got a huge amount of stuff in here because, well, I've certainly kept up to speed with it, and Caverna is just fun. I love how I can just do whatever I like. Now, this already does have an insert. Yes, I did already have an insert. I can't remember if it's a broken token or basically wooden. It's something like that. And it's not bad, but there are a couple of things I have problems with. Firstly, the expansion doesn't really cater for the expansion because this is an old insert. But on top of that, it also is kind of a bit flimsy on the wood. The wood's okay, but the glue just seems to wear off it really quickly, despite using Gorilla Wood glue, and it's just not holding, so I keep having to repair it so often. So this is an attempt to see whether this new folded space insert will be able to hold things better than another reasonable quality wooden insert. First tray. Get the first tray, gotta do this methodically. So, tray number 1 and tray number 1B. Single and twin place tiles. So basically just all these bits, although where does it actually put them? Because this is the extra trays for the Forgotten Folk box, and it doesn't mention, oh no, there's tray 1, so tray 1 is, it's supposed to be identical, and these are supposed to be easy to find. Alright, there's one. And tray 1B is exactly the same, so they're just basically identical boxes. There we go. Fine. So that's going to be involving quite a lot of these tiles, I suspect, so we'll see. The single and twin place tiles. So I don't think it gives any specifics, except that they're not rooms. Okay, so let's see. So, and then that should split things up a little bit. So that it just makes it easier for when you dish these out to players, and then they can go, oh yes, I've got a pack here, it will have everything I need in it. So, cool. Boom, and one other in there for ease. That looks pretty good. There we go. And then we'll split those across here. I think these will fit pretty easily from what I'm seeing. In fact, Probably even more so than I thought, actually, because there's easily spares here. Maybe they're expecting other things to go in here, or maybe we just got enough room. We'll see. But fine. I'm not going to complain if they're nicely shared out. At least it's easier to see what's what in them. So fine. We'll call that and have done with it. So tray 2A is one of these, and tray 2B is also one of these. Like I say, it is pretty much identical shapes and sizes across the mark here. So let's have a look. We are looking at weapon markers, food, other tokens. The problem is if I split them, I run the risk of a certain token not being available in one pot. So that is probably a worry. So let's not split these ones out. Let's just get, in fact, I could be really like, well, actually no, I think they're supposed to go in here because you need other tokens as well. So let's hold off being crazy, and let's just put, come on, will they all fit in one thing? Yes. So I've got cool food and other tokens. Well, we'll have to see what other tokens they mean, really. I suppose it could just be, I suppose they're talking about the starting markers and all that lot. So I suppose we are going to need them. Ooh, take the cards out from this box over here. So we're talking those things, basically. So one has grain and veg, and the other one has wood and cattle. That's nice and easy. I can just grab a bunch of these, and I think maybe I should just chuck. No, don't get tempted to do a Tom Vassal and chuck them all out of the box. That will not go down well. In fact, this is going to look a bit weird because I went the extra mile with this. The player pieces, normally you have 7 player colors in here. Well, I took out all but 2 of them because I don't want to have the opportunity to play this with 6 or 7 players. They're essentially in my spares box. So if they all fit in here, then I'll probably have to go get them out of spares so that I can actually have a complete box here. But yeah, you will notice that I am missing 2 colors because I purposely removed them in order to get space to fit them in the insert and all that before. And it was just a case of, well, I never want to play this with that many players, so I'm not really losing out on much. Okie doke, coins, donkeys, sheep, ruby, gems. Okay, so it doesn't actually tell you which cubbyhole to put each one though. You kind of just have to figure it out. Okay, and doggies. Doggy, doggy, doggy. Alright, come on, dogs. Alright, so they're in there. Fine. Next up, what do we got? Gem fruit, mushrooms, furnishing, and place tiles. Right, and then the last one, goblin markers, furnishing, and place tiles. So that's where these last 2 come in. Well, it looks like everything's going to fit into one box, but we'll see. Question is, where on earth do you put everything in here? I guess you just pick and choose. I don't think it's overly fussed. So, okay. Let's put gem fruits. Gem fruit and mushrooms are meant to go in one tray. So let's put gem fruits in here. This is basically used by the elves and I think one other race in the Forgotten Folk expansion. It's a very cool expansion. It's worth getting. I wouldn't say it was essential, but it does add some really cool stuff to the game. And you can all argue that teaching it with the Forgotten Folk is actually better than teaching the base game, because even though you're using an asymmetric power, which should be a no-show for first player games, the the cool thing with it is that because they direct you onto a certain path, like you are very good at this and you're very bad at that, it means that you're not trying to do everything in the game because you know that, oh, I suck at being indoors. Well, fine, I won't go indoors then. I'll just stay outside. That's what my elves want to do. And it just seems to work quite well. These will not fit in there. That's a given. So maybe if I do this with this in there for now. Clearly you've got to be a little bit more careful than that when shoving them in. But cool. Alright, so maybe these will just have to go in a separate tub by themselves. We'll see. So yellow. And other yellow, I mean that could fit in there, but I think I need to fit them in there. So we'll put that on hold for a second. Dwellings, nice and easy. They should take up pretty much a whole thing by themselves. Room for one dwarf, room for one dwarf, room for one dwarf, room for one dwarf. There's one spare, which is kind of weird, but we'll leave it. I think that's not too bad. And then we've got those dwellings in there, so we'll put those on hold for the moment. And then the rest of it is the forgotten parlour stuff. So, all right, then I guess we're just gonna put them as and where, and just leave it at that. So we'll put the greens in there. So that's all the green ones. We'll put the yellow ones. Did I put those upside down? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. So my OCD will kick in too fast, so might be able to get those and those in one spot. So let's try that. That was a mistake. That was a mistake, that did not work. Come on, where are you? Didn't realise there was so few. Okay, looks like we're just bumping these together then. So there's all the greens, there's yellow, there's some orange, and we'll just put them in their own tray. Fine. Have it your way then. So all of those will be the new stuff, and then we can just put the, I suppose I'll put one dwelling down there at the bottom underneath those main ones just to make it a bit more flush. Those will be another type of thing. So, I mean, yeah, I suppose there's a better way of doing this, but it's the way it's going to have to be. I thought it would go in a little bit easier than that, but not. And to be fair, I need to put in at least 4 more eventually. So this is going to change again, but we'll worry about that later. Right, that's all the pieces. Now, what about the cards? There was nowhere in this insert to put the cards, which is kind of odd, because I thought the cards would be there, but apparently there isn't anywhere to do that. The boards just go on top of each other and that's it. There's nowhere for the cards. That's really weird. Why would they not give you a piece for cards? I mean, they didn't with the other inserts, but that just seems like an oversight. You know, it's one thing that I need to now put in a bag for later, which just doesn't make sense. Oh well, let's put this in the main box and see how we go. So let's move some of these out. Ooh boy, that looks like that. Looks like that goes to one side because then it allows room for those. No, that can be right. Or maybe that is right. It seems a little bit odd. Though the instructions are not quite as clear as I would like for this one. It just seems a little bit like do what you like, but okay, fine. I mean, they do sort of go in. I suppose that's flush with that though, so it is flush with the top of the tile. So actually, I take that back. It does make sense. Okay, fine. Which means that can go in there. No, this one must be then these. There we go. Nicely done. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to need both boxes. It's a shame, but oh well, what can you do? 2 trays are put in, so each tray is doubled. Trays are put in 2 layers in the original game box. But the extra trays for the Forgotten Folk box are these ones. So it does need 2 boxes. You can't do it with just those. That is a shame. That is a shame. I was hoping that this would you know, do a good job on that. I mean, it's not a bad insert, but this isn't necessarily going to speed the setup to a great deal. I feel like that this is not exactly going to revolutionize your storage of Caverna. It's going to improve it, but I have seen, I mean, this one technically helped more with the with that, but then, you know, it did have its problem with sturdiness and that. I mean, maybe I'll hold on to it. I mean, I'll give this insert a try for a while, but is it going to replace the other one? We'll have to see. I'm not exactly blown away at the moment. And of course, we'll find the replacement player colors for this. I mean, I guess this is neater. And I guess I prefer the way that the tiles are stored, because when the tiles were in here, it was a bit of a nightmare trying to get them out. And at least I can still use my slightly pinned up pieces, and we'll sort out that at a later date. So that looks like that's it for the Caverna box, other than putting some boards in there. And maybe because of this, I'll have to go find my spares and put them out. But it's like I tried my best to not have them in here. So let's put those in there, because like I say, you put 7 boards in there and it doesn't fully fit. But let's keep it like that for now. Put the rule books in there as well. And that can be the Caverna box. Although I didn't put the cards in. Yeah, but you need the buildings from the other one anyway, so what difference does it make? There we go. So there's Caverna. Put that to one side. Now we've got the extra funky stuff you get with Forgotten Folk, as well as these, which just about fit in there. Doesn't say how specifically. I think they just go in, which is a little bit of a letdown. You'd think they'd give you a bit more of a specialist way of doing it, but now I have to somehow fit these boards in there. That looks like it's working. Okay, we'll go with it. I think that probably is the way to do it. Score pad can go in. They can just slot in. Cards can just slot in. Okay, that seems like it. And then, like I say, these two are going to get put in after I'm done with this video. So, okay, sadly, this will not cater for everything in the main box. But it does a reasonable job. I mean, this is more organized than my Forgotten Folk stuff was before. So, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I was just kind of hoping for a little bit more. Right. And that is the Caverna folded space insert. Compared to the other two I've done, I don't think this one is quite as revolutionary as the other two were. I mean, Underwater Cities had to use 2 boxes because it was kind of forced to use 2 boxes. I feel that Caverna is kind of in that state. I think you are forced to use 2 boxes. It's just a bit of a shame you have to. But all in all, it's not too bad. But this one I just feel a little bit underwhelmed by the design of it. Like just having everything split into 2, but then not having an easy way to split it between 2 players. And even then, it's like, I don't know. The extra boards, I mean, this one's not going to be as flush as I would like. So I do like this insert, but whether it's going to be better than the one I already had remains to be seen. And as you can see, yeah, I had to masking tape some of it because it wasn't staying on very well. But all in all, it's not a bad insert. I just don't think it's as good as the other ones I've done. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. I think the Underwater Cities does a better job, but I think the first one I did, the Fields of Arle one, I think that's brilliant because that one actually succeeded in getting everything into one box, whereas this one doesn't. And I would argue that Fields of Arle has got more components, although I suppose most of it's represented by tiles. This one has giant boards, so I guess you can't avoid it with this one either. But still, 8 out of 10. I think it's a good enough insert, just not one that I'm going to say go nuts for. It's very similar to the design of other inserts out there, so it's not like it's particularly unique either. So that is the Caverna folded space setup. If you like the way this camera and smartphone microphone thing work, then by all means chuck it in the comments and let me know, because I'm experimenting, and if this stuff works, then you might see a return to solo plays, you know, because then I could film this whole table as well as have my face from the DSLR. So I'll leave that for you to decide. Take care, and remember, it's only a game.